and I just want to give a quick tutorial in terms of setting up the P16 in-ear monitor system. That's this device that we use. If you are not aware, we've been having some issues with it, and I took a deep dive and figured out how everything works. So let's start with some of the technical details. So the first thing that we have to do is to ensure that our X32 back of the house monitor is properly connected to our two S16 front of the house stage boxes. And obviously the way that is connected, if you are familiar with the system, is through a shielded Cat 6 wire that goes from here, from the A plug into the input in the back where it also says A. The second thing that we have to do with the P16 is then come here to our computer screen up here, and then what you want to do is you want to go to routing, and then you want to scroll over here to the AES 50A screen right there. And what we have to ensure is that on the outputs 33 through 40, 41 through 48, that the P16 1 through 8 and P16 9 through 16 is selected. So that's incredibly important because that's how this X32 talks with the S16 along with the P16D monitor system. The second thing that we can do here is that you tab over to the Ultranet, and in the Ultranet, the P16 personal monitor system, you can customize it so that it doesn't necessarily reflect the 16 inputs on the S16. So what I mean by that is, what you'll see here on the personal monitor system is that there are 16 different inputs, and if we don't make that customization on the alternate screen there, what it's going to do is generally pick up the top 16 inputs here. One's going to be one on the monitor system, two will be two on the monitor system, so forth and so on. Now, sometimes that should be fine, but what we're doing is we're running 32 different channels, and we are also using channels 17 through 24 for all our percussions. So there is no way we're going to be able to send all the different signals into 16 different inputs. So the only way to do that is you have to come back to the Ultranet and customize it. So the way we do it is, on one, we'll say it is Josh. Two, it's the vocalist. Three, another vocal. Four, another vocal. Five, another vocal. Six is now the Martin guitar. Seven is the Taylor. Eight is a Gibson. Nine is just another guitar. 10, another guitar. 11 is the electric keyboard. 12 is violin. And 13 is the bass. And 14 is a drum mix. Now this is next level, but we took all the drum signals and we put them into a bus mix. So now we're sending that bus mix into the in-ear system. 15 at the moment is still open, and lastly 16 is what's called the talkback mic. So we actually from the back can actually talk to you guys if you have your in-ear systems on. So that's really neat, and the way we do that is not only assign the person here, but what we'll do is then you go over to the output signal, and from there you can say which signal it's coming from. So here it says direct channel 1, and I don't want to confuse anyone, but that is equal to the S16 input 1. So then the vocal is going to be direct channel 2, again input 2 on the S16. But where things start to change and we can customize it is the Martin. This is Josh's general guitar. If you know here, notice here, it's going to actually say input on the left, it'll say input 6, but we're pulling the signal from the direct channel 9. So what I mean by that is, yes, on the S16, it would come out of direct channel 9, but we are then customizing that signal and saying, even though it's coming out of input 9 on the stage box, we're going to send it as signal 6 to the personal monitor system. So it will actually be this one right there. And we'll do that for all the different guitars, but where you'll see this really shine is when we get to the drum mix, where the drum takes 7 different channels, but instead of having 7 different channels overwhelming our P16 system, what we're doing is we are actually created a bus mix where all the channels are pulled here, but then we assign that bus mix into, if you look here, channel or input 14 on the personal monitor here. So when you go to 14, all the drums will come into the singular input here. So that way, even though we only have 16, we're able to send a host of different signals from both the input of the stage box and also ultimately customizing it over here in the alternate. So that's what you have to do here. Then what you also have to do is, what we are going to do is come down to the, sorry, trying to maneuver here, come down to the 2 different stage boxes here. When you come down to the 2 different stage boxes, what you're gonna notice here is this configure figure. It's gonna say input 1, 1, 1, 2. You can actually change that to all different inputs. But what's most important here is, see if I can do this with one hand. When you press configure, this has to be just the standard 1 through 8, and this has to be a standard 9 through 16. What we were having trouble with is the previous iteration of the P16 that we were using to send all the different signals, this old system here. This is actually for an analog system. We got a new system up here that is for the digital, an actual digital system. So what we had to do in order for this thing to work was to press configure 1 through 8, but if you can look here, you'll see this little number letter highlighted where it was a splitter. It was sending different, it was basically sending the S16 and splitting it to this P16, what's called a P16i, I believe, along with the X32 mixer over there. But when you do that, it overrides, or you cannot customize or send the customized signals that we just did over on the alternate. So in order for it to work, we have to make sure that it is simply, where'd it go, 1 through 8 without any other thing lit up there. And on the bottom, you'll do the same, but in the bottom one, it's 9 through 16. And it's just saying here, 1 through 8 is lit up, saying that it is just connected to these. So that's what you're gonna have to do. Otherwise, you have to actually run an Ethernet cable all the way from the X32 all the way to the front of the house, which is, we could do that, but it makes it one extra step. Now all you're gonna do is connect an alternate cable here to, or Ethernet cable here to the alternate out, send that cable up here to the P16D, and then from there, send it to all the different personal monitor systems that we have. We can send out, I think, 8 different ones, and then everyone can then customize even more so what they want to do on the system here. So that is how we are going to, or that's how we set up the P16 in your monitors and are able to customize it both on the X32, and ultimately the final customization will come here for each musician, the way they want to hear the sounds. They can choose to only have a few things come in. They can choose to have all 14 inputs coming into their ears, what have you, but that will help them in terms of feeling comfortable when they are leading us in worship. So that is a quick tutorial on how to set up our P16 in your monitor system using both the X32 and our S16, 2 of them, along with obviously our P16D, which is this guy, and the individual personal monitor system there. All right, if you have any questions, please let me know. Thanks, everyone.